Okay, I guess we're going to start. Welcome to the November issue of Ask the Experts. Your host is me and Roger. So, anybody have any questions?
Well,
Yes, I do.
relating to my new iPad Pro 12-inch, it's a very trivial thing, but I noticed that when I go to my iCloud on the iPad, go down to backup, software backup, and then it shows my devices that are in there. The little icon for my new iPad is not showing up. It's one of these little gee, I don't know what the icon looks like. But on everything else, including when I go up to the cloud and look at all my devices, the icon's there. So I don't know. And I thought the latest software update I got might fix that, but it's still not there. So it's not earth shattering, but it was kind of interesting that that little thing popped up.
I was playing with my iPad Pro the other day, and I found a new feature in iOS 16 for the iPad that you might like, David. Um, they have Stage Manager on there, so you can go in between apps, and I think it's extremely limited and lacking. Do you know the easy way to switch between apps on an iPad now?
Uh, Remind me because I don't switch
Okay.
between
Normally
too
you
many
would
apps.
you would you would flip up the screen up and you see the dock and you would select something on the dock. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have your iPad in front of you?
Uh, no, but I can pull it up.
Go grab it. I want to show you something. If anybody else has an iPad, they might like this as well.
Now, I have seen Stage Manager, and that works pretty good.
Yeah, I think this works even easier and better than Stage Manager.
Okay. I got
Okay. Open up Mail
my
or Safari.
Uh-huh, got mail open.
Okay. You see the black bar on the bottom of the screen?
Yeah.
Slide to the right or to the left, or slide to the left,
Okay.
or the other way.
Yeah.
Instead of going up with that bar, you slide it and you switch between applications.
Yeah. Very nice. Yep. It works.
I found that out by accident the other day, and it's like I went to flip something up and I was laying in bed and it flipped sideways and switched apps. I said, "What is this?" And it's like, sure, nobody knew about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's one of those features.
Works as
great.
designed, but they didn't tell
Yeah,
anybody.
that's great. That's great.
So I think that's easier to switch between apps than Stage Manager.
Yeah.
I have a question about Safari. The newsletter said that something would be sent to us on Safari ahead of time that we could download and get ready for tonight's presentation. Did I miss it or was it not sent?
Are you a subscriber to T-Mug Talk?
No, I don't think so.
Then you haven't gotten it. I will place it in the meeting chat, and I would strongly suggest that you subscribe to T-Mug Talk and T-Mug Announce.
Okay.
And T-Mug Public.
Okay.
Okay.
I will do that.
Okay.
No, I'm not. I'll call her back.
I have a question for Kurt. Oh, okay. You done?
Go ahead, Jeff.
I've got an iPad problem. Sometimes I get emails that are like magazines and they've got 3 or 4 different paragraphs in them to send you to different places. Generally, that works absolutely fine. But there are some where I go to that site, I get a good picture of the site for about 1/10 of a second, and then I get a simple text contents of the sites. I don't know if I can do share screen. And I can show you the effect. How do can I share my screen right now?
Yeah, you should be able to.
There's a share content on the top. Is that
You're on your iPad?
I'm on my iPad? Okay, yeah, share screen. Okay, everything on your screen will be recorded. Do not disturb. Stop broadcast.
No, we're not seeing anything.
There you go. We
There
see
you
it.
go.
Yeah, I'm not sure. You are sharing a screen. I know that. Now I want to go to Safari. How do I
Okay,
get to Safari?
you see the bar on the left, on the very bottom?
Yes?
Swipe it to the left
Slide it
or to the
sideways.
right. There you go. Nope, the other way. Keep on going. That's your
Okay,
mail.
this is an example. If I ask this thing to watch what happens. I'll click, and then for a second, I see what I should have seen, and then I go to this. Now I've
Okay. It looks like you have reader mode automatically turned on. So
So which mode?
reader, what's called reader mode. You see where it says the two A's on next to the address? Press and hold that down.
Yep, that fixed it.
So
Yeah.
Okay, it's a strange. It only happens on some sites.
right, because not all
Maybe
sites support
10%
reader
of the
mode.
time.
So look in your preference.
Okay.
I don't have an iPad with me, but look in your preferences. There may be an option in Safari to automatically turn on reader mode.
Okay, I'll chase it down. That's great.
Okay, but
Thank you so much
that's
for the help.
what the problem is.
Good. Zoom meeting.
And
How
now
can I
you
get
could
back to
stop,
this?
yeah. Slide it again.
Well,
Yeah, there is an option for reader mode on all sites.
Yeah. There you go.
okay.
Click on stop
I'm
share.
gonna get back to Zoom. Okay, when I can get back to Zoom, I'll join you again.
Right, as soon, you see where it says stop sharing the red X up on top? We just select
There's a
that.
leave. Oh, stop sharing.
Yeah, right there, boom.
Yay,
Stop.
thank you.
Success.
Okay.
And David, you said there's a automatic reader mode?
Yeah,
Option?
if you go to in your settings, let me get it, bring it back up again. Come on. So Safari, and you go all the way down, and it says, where am I at here? Reader. Select reader, and you can either select all websites or turn it off. So he
Okay.
must have
I would turn it off and then turn it on when you want it. And what reader
Yeah.
mode does is it gets rid of all the ads and everything that is not pertinent to that article. So when they publish it, they say, this is the important stuff. The nice thing about reader mode is when you're on a regular website, even on the Mac or on the iPad, when you're going to print something off of a website, you invoke reader mode first and then you print it. You only print the relevant information and it formats it for an 8.5 by 11 page.
Great. Okay. That's a jewel. I learned something.
Yeah, that's why Kevin's here.
Even I learn things every now and again.
Yo,
As a follow-up to
Serendipitous.
Kevin's tip about changing apps on your iPad without going to the home screen and then yada, 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 you can slowly swipe up from the bottom as if you are going to force quit an app. And then you're going to have a selection of all your apps running. Sliding to the right is good if you're using the app, if you want to go to the app that you just used. But if you want to go to the app that you've used 6 or 7 apps ago, sliding up from the bottom slowly as if you're going to force quit an app will allow you to see all your running apps and get you there faster.
And another way to do that is the same way on the Mac. If you can bring up a keyboard, if you have an external, Command Tab works the same on the iPad as it does on the Mac. The switch between apps.
Only if you have a keypad.
Only if you have a keypad, right? That's what I said.
Yeah.
Hey, Bob, I have a general question about membership. Do we still send out cards every year to the members that they paid their dues?
No.
No, because I don't remember getting one last year. And I sent my check in about 7 weeks ago and I haven't heard anything about, or has it been cashed even?
Well, Kurt will check and see if you are currently a member when he unmutes himself.
I'm sure it was received. The only reason that you'd get a note from me is if it was not received. But
Okay.
we aren't sending out any confirmations or anything.
Okay, so we don't get the little card that goes in the wallet anymore.
No.
Okay, because I couldn't remember getting one last year, and I was wondering about
Oh,
this year.
Yeah, I've been a member
saving
of
our
T-Mug.
pennies, I guess,
I've been a member of T-Mug for 17 or 18 years now.
I've been probably a member longer than you have.
Well, that's maybe true. But in that time, I have never used that card for anything.
Right.
Yeah, well, we used to all just walk in the door and say hi to each other, but we don't sort of do
Right.
that anymore,
That's right.
Bob, I've been a member for 20 years and I think you were there before me.
Yes, I was, yeah. I'm like the wallpaper.
I'm going to ask everybody to display their full name on their icon or their screen, as in Kevin and Jeff B. If you can, I know it's easy on a Mac. I'm not sure how difficult it is on an iPad. Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome.
Now I
Hello,
know.
Jerry.
I have a
Jerry.
question about automatic updates system. There's a box that I have marked that it tells, that I want automatic updates. And I was going through the list of updates, and a couple of my updates were not automatically. Is that for all software, or is that just for the system?
Just the system.
Oh, okay, thank you.
I have a question about resetting the SMC. Kevin had indicated that a problem I was having, my brightness on my display would go to max. And so I've tried resetting the SMC a couple of times, and it seems to work for a few days. And then lo and behold, I'm back to full brightness again.
There's a command that you could run in terminal that boy, I'd have to do some research on it, but I read somewhere there's a way of going to terminal and clearing the cache on the SMC or the NVRAM.
Okay.
You might want to Google that, and then you do a restart and it does it. What type of computer? Because every machine is different.
Yeah. Okay, it's an iMac, and it is a let me see, 2017 Retina 5K 27-inch.
So on that one, to reset the SMC, I believe they tell you just to disconnect power from it for
Yeah, I've
30
I've tried
seconds.
both. I've disconnected, in fact, a long time ago, I had the Mac people tell me that what the best thing to do was to unplug the cord from the back of the machine.
Right.
Yeah. So I have
Good.
done that too. And like I say, it works okay for a few days and then, after a while it comes back and I'm back on full drive.
Did you ever zap your PRAM?
Remind me how to do that.
Turn your machine off,
Uh-huh.
then turn it on and instantly hold down Command Option P and R. And you have to, the machine will boot, if you get it, depending on the machine and the OS, it
Yeah.
may boot, give you the chime twice.
Yeah.
If it does more than twice, you wait for the third time for the chime and then boot up.
Yeah, I have done that. I looked at my notes here and I have done that too. But
Okay,
I'll
the
check this,
only-
clear the cache on the SMC, see what I got.
Okay, another option is get an application called Lunar.
Uh-huh.
It's LUNAR.
All right.
And it could have set presets for your monitor for brightness and stuff like that.
Okay, great. All right, thank you.
Has anybody got a 14 iPhone with the new SOS? Apparently it offers it's like 9/11, but you tell them whether you're having a heart attack or you're in an accident off the satellite, and but it's only good for 14s. And I was just wondering if anybody had the new 14 iPhone. I guess not.
I remember Chris Wesselman has one, but I don't think he's tried it yet, and I don't think anybody really wants to try it until it's really necessary.
Something similar to that came up last night. We were watching Yellowstone, the season premiere. I don't know if anybody's seen it. Kid in the middle of nowhere is calling 911. They ask his location. They say, "Let me send you a pin with my location." Does anybody here other than me know how to do that?
I don't.
Yeah.
Okay, do you have your iPhone in front of you?
No, I should.
Go grab your iPhone. I'll show you something. Kind of cool.
Okay.
Okay.
Show everybody all at once. Oh, I've got mine too.
Will iPhone 13 work?
Yeah, iPhone 7 will work.
No, all right. I'll get mine out.
So what do you want us to do?
Once Bob comes back, I'll explain to everybody how you send somebody a pin. You could send it to text 911, even a location if you're out in the middle of nowhere. Welcome back, Bob. Okay, open up your Maps program on your iPhone.
Okay, open.
Okay, you see how it shows where you're located?
Mm-hmm.
Press and hold your finger over that location.
Send my location. That's
Send my
cool.
location. So collect that. And one of the things you could do is send it via message.
Okay, great.
And then you
How
could
about-
text.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, then you could text 911 your exact location. If you don't know your mile marker or you're in the middle of the desert and you need emergency services.
If the emergency services
it's
can
not-
receive a text.
And most 911 systems do.
Okay. I do know how to share my ETA with somebody if I'm going to go visit them. And I thought that was pretty cool. I learned that from Melissa, and I did it with Kurt yesterday.
Cool.
Does anybody know? Does anybody not know how to do that?
I don't.
I
Okay.
don't.
If I'm in my car, I'm going to Kurt's house and I just say, hey, S lady, share my ETA with Kurt Blanchard. And she takes it from there. And what shows up on Kurt's screen is in maps, I believe. It shows where I am and it's kind of live updating as I'm getting closer and closer to his house, and he's locking the doors and the windows and making sure I can't get in.
I have another question. Is there a compelling reason to go ahead and update to Ventura?
If you like, let me look carefully, Logan. If you would like a few more gray hairs, go for it. The look and feel is so different.
Yeah.
That you should read up about it first, especially if you run a lot of software. It really depends. If you're a basic user, there's no reason not to. But if you're using any third-party software, you have to learn the ins and outs of things, because there's about 5 different places that you have to give software permissions to work. And so far that I know of, the only software that I've seen that is fully Ventura capable for settings is if you have a Kensington mouse, their software called Kensington Works actually steps you through the Ventura settings as part of their installer to get their software to work right.
Sounds like a good reason to wait.
Yeah, it's totally up to you. I upgraded just because I wanted to see what it was like, and I had customers that were going to be upgrading and getting new computers, so I kind of was forced into it.
Well, again, my iMac is a 2017, so I'm wondering if it.
That's going to be the last. I think 2017 is the last or the earliest iMac that'll upgrade.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Time to buy a new Mac, Logan. I have not yet upgraded to the Pontiac Ventura either. I probably will wait until it hits
.7
.2 or .3, and then put it on my laptop machine and try it there before I put it on my desktop machine, which is where the work really happens. And also, while I have the floor, I have put that document into the chat, Safari Tips for Mac Users Monterey. And so if you have not received it because you are not subscribed to TMUG Talk, now is a good time to grab it. And Kurt has it printed out in dead tree form. Any other questions for Kevin or anybody here?
Okay, I got another one. In photos, when you delete a photo, is it stored someplace on your machine for a while, or is it gone?
I believe when you delete it, there's a folder called recently deleted in Photos. And they're in there.
All right,
you will
where
have
do
to
you
type
look for that?
up on the left-hand side on the top section. It's under on the bottom of libraries. It's a
Okay.
locked system, so you will have to enter your password to view it. What's in there?
All right.
Another thing is if you want to instantly delete a photo, if you hit Command Delete, it will delete it automatically.
Okay.
Without moving into recents.
All right. Thank you.
I'm looking at my recently deleted, and I have some here that say 9 days left, and some that say 19 days left. So it sits there for some period of time that is predefined and then it decides you really don't want this, so I'm gonna throw it away
I think it's
30 days.
30 days.
Yeah.
as November.
Okay, I found it. Thank you.
I got a general interest thing. In the last month, I've received a couple of emails that say you have subscribed to something and it's $500. And if you if you got questions, call this number. So I just blow those away because I know it's some kind of scam. I got one today from iTunes, who thanked me for spending $500 and never referred to themselves as iTunes. So that was kind of a giveaway. But I don't know, is anybody else seeing this trash?
Yes, yes, I got two of those and they were persistent and they just know kind of sort of what language to use. So it stopped me for, probably half an hour. And I said, wait a minute, and looked at it again and said, this is definitely spam. So, anything that says you have signed up for this thing and then they want $1,500 or $500 to renew it, ignore it, and it'll go away.
Yeah, the strange thing, there was no button to click on. There was a telephone number to call, and they warned you it would only work for the next 2 days, but there was no button to click. So I don't know if calling a telephone number can get me into trouble.
Of course.
Click on a
Yes.
button.
I called the number and Phony McAfee, they sent me an invoice for $399, and I got a guy and we were talking and he was telling me how, how I would correct it, but he said you have to give me control of your computer. And as soon as he said, I said, no, I want to do this on the phone. And he said, well, we can't do that. So I said, thank you. And I hung up on him.
That, or they'll tell you that your credit card was rejected and they'll request another credit card number.
And you also want to watch out for those emails that say, congratulations, you have won.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say that, something that happened to me last week. I got an email from my bank. It's a legit email. Somebody had Zelled me $1,600. No clue who the person is. I called my bank. They said, well, you have to call the fraud department. Or you call Zelle. I called the fraud department. They said, well, what they could do is they could cancel the charge on my credit card, on my bank account. So they'll basically withdraw it. Then I decided to call Zelle. Zelle said, whatever you do, if you get an email from somebody or a call that they accidentally sent you money, do not send it back to them. At the same time, do not ask your bank to reverse the charges either. And I said, why? And she was very polite and she explained to me that what happens is people will steal bank accounts. They'll Zelle you, say, $1,500, $2,000, and they'll send you an email requesting the money back, and they'll say, hey, for your inconvenience, only send me $1,500 instead of $1,600. You send them the money back, and you're out that $1,500. 3, 4, 5 months, 6 months goes by, they find out it's fraud. Zelle they don't cancel the charge, they charge you $1,600 for the initial charge. So I'm out the $1,500, then I'm out the $1,600 that they Zelled me. If I would have contacted my bank and they would have taken the $1,600 out, then I'd be out another $1,600. And they said, then you have to fight with your bank to get your money back. So if anybody Zells, what they recommended, if anybody Zells you money that you do not know, and Venmo's the same way, just let it sit in your account and don't touch it. One day you may wake up and it disappears. or you may not, and it may take a year for that to happen.
Hmm.
Well,
Yeah, let them worry about it.
Yeah, I thought Christmas came early, but yeah, it's amazing. They said that lots of times what they'll do is they'll use stolen credit card numbers to send money on Zelle. And they could take 6 months to get cleared to the system. And if once a charge goes through, they can't cancel it. So they do what's known as a reversal. They'll send me a bill for $1,600. And since Zelle is controlled by the banks, they automatically take that out of my bank account.
wow.
One thing you can do is what I do, which is don't do business with Zelle or any one of those people. You know,
Well,
Visa, MasterCard, that's it, or Apple's.
well, Zelle is owned by Wells Fargo,
Wells
Chase,
Fargo.
and a
Just-
bunch of other
and-
banks.
And that is a disrecommendation. And I'm a Wells Fargo account holder, and I would not do business with them in that way. They're just too flaky.
Yeah, I had it set up because somebody paid me that way years ago. And I had all my email addresses and they sent it to one of my email addresses I don't use much, so. I'll let it sit there and probably in a year from now, I'll get a letter saying that it was a phony charge and they had to take it out.
I use Zelle to send money to family members from time to time and have for a few years, and seems to work fine.
Yeah, the caveat with Zelle that I found out, Kurt, is if, say you're sending it to your son and his name is Tony Blanchard and you misspell his name or mistype a phone number by 1 digit and you send it, as soon as that money is sent, it's automatically received by their bank. If you call Zelle and said you accidentally send the money to the wrong number, you're out that money. There is no recourse. The only recourse is if it was sent by fraud. So somebody's hacking into your bank account or being sent using stolen credit card numbers.
Yeah. That's
I'm
why
not-
I don't like doing business with them.
I'm not sending large sums anyway, so it's okay.
Well, don't, in case you were tempted.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, I'm still looking for my Mac Mini with the M2 chip.
Maybe not until next year.
Oh,
long has it been,
it won't
Jay?
be till next year. I'm sure of that. Somebody has their head around the idea that they can't let it go until next year, as far as Apple is concerned.
How long has it been, Jerry?
Oh, well, when the M1s came out, I said, I want a 27-inch iMac replacement because mine is way, way out of date. And if anything really happens to it, then I'm kind of SOL. So I'm sitting here praying that it's all gonna work fine for another 4 or 5 months. I figure it'll take me that long to get a mini and set it up on the dining room table and then transfer all my stuff over. It's a lot of work to get a new machine up and running the way you'd like to.
Yeah, I'm looking at the history of the Mac Mini and just going back to say just the last 12 years. One came out in 2010, one came out in 2011, then 2012, then 2014, then the next one was 2018,
Yep.
then 2020 is the M1. So if they're gonna wait 6 years or even, 4 years, it could be another 2 years before we see another Mac Mini.
I know. The rumor mill of people I ordinarily trust, like Merger, Mark, I can't think of his name.
Mark Gruber,
Yes.
Mark Gurman?
Gurman.
Swears
Wall
that
Street Journal guy.
it's
Yeah.
gonna be March. I hope he's right.
I
Well,
don't
think
trust
of-
any rumor sites.
Think of it this way, Jerry, by the time it comes out, Ventura will probably be stable and you can run it.
That's one of the reasons why I'm gonna upgrade to Ventura by buying a new machine. And so I follow all the news feeds about it, but I just save them off in my PDF notes file, knowing that with any luck in several months, I might actually get a chance to use that information.
Okay, I would like to welcome Mac user and ask Mac user to change their name to their real name, please.
Hey, Jerry, why not the M1?
Well, I figure I'm buying into obsolescence with that. I figure I really do think that it's going to be the case that within a couple, 3 months, they'll have an M2 model out.
Well,
They've got all the electronics done for sure. You know, I used to do that racket, so I know that if they're pushing like M2 based laptops out the door, they've got everything they need to put out a Mac Mini M2, and I just don't want to buy into that. You know, I did that with my iMac and bought it in 2011, and it's supposedly a 2011 iMac, but it didn't even get here until February of that year. So I just don't want to buy into the buying an obsolescent thing. This is, realistically speaking, I'm 81 years old almost, and this is going to be my last CPU. So I want to have one that's going to last me for a while, because I plan on sticking around for a while. It'd be nice if we just kind of went off into the breeze at the same time.
Jerry, I'm
I mean,
5
just-
years younger than you, and I bought the Mac Studio. Basically the same thing. I said, you know, the Mac Studio is probably going to be my last Mac. And I'm 5 years younger than you, so I don't know, maybe I will. But I bought the M2 iPad Pro, and I have the M1 iPad Pro 11-inch, and I don't really see a difference in them. And I'm going, well, you know, life has its ways, but maybe when I'm your age, there'll be an M4 out or something if I'm still here. But
Oh yeah, you'll still be here.
yeah,
And you know, so it makes good sense for you to buy a Mac Studio. And if I were your age, I would do it too. But I just don't see putting the money into it. And the learning curve is really the issue with me. If I'm thinking the Mac Mini is going to be a lot, in terms of running it, it's going to be a lot like running my iMac. But the Mac Studio, I could see that I could put a lot of time and effort and so forth into that, and I will. I just don't have the heart yet. Or
I don't see any difference with the Mac Studio other than it's taken up another square foot of, or just less than a square foot of space on my desk, because I got this big box now, and then I had to buy a more expensive monitor. But operation on it, nothing. It's the same thing as my iMac was.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Now,
Jerry,
my wife is the same age as I am. she has a 27-inch, which is about to I think it's like a 2018 or maybe a 19. And I was looking, and Mac says they're not making the iMac 27-inch anymore. And I'm going, well, you know, maybe it's a Mac Mini, or maybe I'll just let it limp along. But you know, I don't think I'll waste the money on a studio for her. Maybe I'll drop down to a 24-inch M1 or M2, whatever's out there now.
Right.
Gary, why don't you consider buying a MacBook Air with the M1 chip? Because they're on sale for only about $100 more than a Mac Mini, and it's a complete thing that you can, you know, take with you, and
Yeah, you get a display.
you get a display, and you get no wire hanging about between all the different devices on your desk.
Yeah. Desktop real estate's not a problem for me. It's visual. I have visual problems. So the size of the display is a real help if I can get a big one.
Yeah, I understand.
I was just reading about the bug that Ridge mentioned about antivirus software not working in Ventura. And basically what they're saying is that when you do an upgrade, full disk permission is turned off for their software. But I found that it's not just security software. They have new security features in Ventura that you have to go through and make sure that you give all your software the right permissions. And once you do that, everything will work fine. The same thing happened, I believe it was Catalina changed the way security was set up. You had to give things full disk access that you didn't before. So that bug that everybody is saying is a bug, it may actually be, but all the other steps in security, you have to do that to all the other applications anyway. So like for VMware Fusion, which I had to give that full disk access. I had to give that access for screen recording. You do that at any time you upgrade your OS. So the fact that they're saying that Ventura requires it and that that's a bug, I'm not sure that that's a reason to not upgrade to Ventura.
I agree.
So
Yeah,
if
Kevin,
anybody's
I went-
thinking, I would definitely recommend upgrading.
I went through the extra security stuff, Kevin, and it took me a couple of days to sort of get used to it. At first, I was a little
Right.
surprised, but there is kind of a light at the end of the tunnel, because part of what it kept alerting me to every time I restarted was the drivers and things that were running in the background, all the startup apps and all the drivers. I found drivers that were, and this is on my M1 Mac Mini, right? That literally dated back to 2014. And I turned out, some of it was fine. I mean, it was a vertical mouse that I was playing around with at work and for things. And God knows how that driver was on this machine, but it was. And I turned off a whole slew of things, and it speeded up my restart by about 50%.
Oh, wow.
Well,
I really
Chris,
had a chuckle.
do you remember a couple of months back, I was mentioning how I cannot back up my computer to a solid state drive and make it bootable? That I had to go to a Thunderbolt 3 drive.
Right.
After installing Ventura, I came up with an alert about some system extensions that were not authorized. And I looked at them, sure enough, they were like from 2010. I got rid of them. I did a backup to an SSD, and voila, it boots.
Oh, interesting.
There were
Interesting, yeah.
drivers that were old that they're called SAT drivers. So if you're doing any diagnostics, it allows you to read smart data off of a USB drive. The same thing, if you're booting off of the USB drive, the way Monterey handled those drivers, it loaded at a certain point and crashed the system. If you're booted on an external drive, because the drivers are trying to read itself. I got rid of those drivers. My old backups work flawlessly.
Interesting. Well, I actually like Stage Manager too.
I
was
haven't used
listening-
it. I haven't used it on the Mac yet.
Well, I was listening to a podcast, and I forget whose it was, and he basically said, just try it. You know, don't try to like second guess it or think whether or not you're going to like it. Just try it. You can turn it off again if you don't like it. And I do kind of like it. I mean, there are parts of it when you go full screen, if you like, I like to make app windows full screen, but not, in other words, I hold down the option key and click the green button. So I get the menu bar and everything. I'm just used to doing that. And if you do that and you go over to whichever side Stage Manager's on, then the things start popping out. And when I was working in Adobe Lightroom, I didn't like that. So I just went to full screen and it solved that problem. But it is interesting. They're doing some interesting new things. But yeah, give yourself a little extra time, because in the beginning, you get a whole bunch of questions about stuff. And plus it tells me every password I've ever done is terrible. And,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, you know, some of these I haven't used in 10 years and others it's like, all right, I'll get there. You know, I mean, it's just.
Yeah, that's interesting that you mention that, because I have been toying with the idea for the last several OS upgrades of doing a clean install. And I think that this is going to be the time when I forego doing very much with Migration Assistant and then just reinstalling everything fresh from scratch. And yeah, that'll take a couple of months out on the dining room table. But I have about 20 years, maybe 30 years of cruft and junk and so forth that, you know, things I said, oh, that looks good. No, it wasn't. But I never took it out, you know, that sort of thing. So I'm thinking that maybe Ventura is a good breaking point for me to use to actually do by God, real clean install.
Yeah, I'm since I was a late bloomer to Monterey. I kept on installing Monterey and uninstalling it because of my backup issues. I finally decided, you know, I'm going to stay with Monterey. Then I did the upgrade, and everything that works in Monterey works flawlessly in Ventura. Just you have to go through the security settings, which is not for the faint of heart, I have to admit. But once you go through all the settings and you do all the check boxes or all the turning on, everything will work. And Chris, have you ever heard of an application called HyperDoc?
Yes, refresh my memory.
What it does is when you move your mouse over an application in your dock, it brings up a little window with all the open windows. I find that so much easier than using Stage Manager.
Oh, well.
It's
And it
because with
still
Stage
works.
Manager, it moves all the windows from one app open and then close. But what if you have 7 windows in that application open? With HyperDoc, you move over the application like Safari. If I have 7 windows, it shows mini previews on the bottom. I could select which one I want, close one. Or if it's in another application, I just hover over it, it shows up on the screen. So I could read something, I move my mouse away, it auto hides. It's a great app, but the developer kind of has not updated it. So again, it didn't work in Ventura until you gave it the proper permissions. And now it works flawlessly.
You know, it seems to
Interesting.
me that there's a real market for a person, helper, user group, whatever, to come along and write up an authoritative document about what needs to be done by the user. When you, Kevin, when you say that you have to go in and do this setting and that setting and so forth, I've done a few of those, but you know, it seems to me like a well-crafted installer by an app, you know, like an Apple, let's say Pages. Pages, you install it, and okay, it puts in the code to put the document on the screen, but it also ought to, I think, if it can, make sure that all of your settings are correct in your security.
And they do that. If you were
Okay.
to install Pages in Ventura, it would set all the proper settings. Same thing with Malwarebytes. If you were to install Malwarebytes cleanly on a system running Ventura, part of the setup process is to give it full disk permission, accessibility, screen recording, and everything else, and
Okay.
everything would work. The bug that they found, what they're claiming is a bug, is when people are upgrading from Monterey to Ventura or Catalina to Ventura, where it resets certain permissions because it wants you as part of the operating system, because it is more secure, to review all those settings. To make sure that something didn't sneak through in the past, that you don't want it to have those permissions now.
Yeah, well, that's another advantage of having a clean install where I've got to go through every one of those little suckers and make sure they're right.
Sure, and there's really no guide because every app is different. So one app may require permissions here, another one may require permissions there.
Right.
And the confusing things is that Apple signs software by the developer, not by the company. So I have like in mine, and I'm sure, Chris, if you look in your login items, let me open my system preferences here. If you go to general to login items, you'll see everything that launches. But if you go down, you'll have some software like 1Password lists 1Password. But I have something done by a guy's name is Charles SRSTKA. Whoever he is, it says that it's one item that's affected and it affects all users. I have no idea who that guy is. He's a developer for a company. He's the one who signs their software.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about. I've seen intimations of that people would say Apple has lost control of the communication that allows people to know what's on their machine. You know, so you have this weird user ID or developer ID or whatever. You have no idea where that came from, except that you know you didn't put any junk on there. So somehow or other that was part of a deal that was hidden away, so you don't have a clue about how to handle it.
Yeah, like I use that software called Mac Updater that we demoed a long time ago.
Yeah.
And on their software, Russell had his developer account set up for Core Code Limited. Other developers from small companies, they just have the name of the person whoever developed the software. And there's no way of knowing unless you, like I have one guy named Dragan, Dragan, last name is Milic, Milic. And I remember I Googled him. And he's the developer of some Mac software. I said, okay, so that's okay. I Googled this person's name, and one person I couldn't figure out who they were. But it doesn't tell me what software, if I turn it off, is not going to work. So I just leave it on.
Yeah, Kevin, what I did was the unknown developer ones. I tried to Google them. If I couldn't figure out what they were, I just turned them off.
Yeah, but I use so much third-party software that by turning something off, I may actually stop something from working that I need it to work.
But like my screen calibrator was an unknown developer. And
right, Lunar. I was just telling somebody earlier to use that. I think it was Logan.
Yeah. Well, Jerry, there's another thing you might like or enjoy, and it's an email that's called OS10 Daily, OSX Daily.
Right.
And they go through a lot of stuff, like, so you can refer back to it, or if you put those emails in a folder, you could search that folder for like some weird thing in Pages or something. And he's pretty good at that stuff.